Anyway, verse 17, take the helmet of salvation, which does what?
Delivers.
Oh, okay, but it delivers the thoughts of your mind.
Protect the mind.
The sword of the Spirit, which is how you battle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he sums it all up with what?
Right.
Wait a minute. Which is what?
Word. Word.
It's the word. Now, the Greek word is what?
Logos.
Logic. The word logos literally means logic. Do you know that the logical explanation would defeat Satan?
You know, I was taught all my life that logical was not the word. You couldn't go by it logical.
Yeah, which is crap.
Yes. Now I'm finding out.
Because the word logos literally means logic. It is to translate the Greek word into English means logic. So logos literally means the logic. And it's true. If you think about it logically and you look at it from a logical standpoint, logically, okay, like for an example, rapture, it's not logical. It defies nature, what Hoya created and intended for it. What man do you know that's ever gone up into the heavens? Only one. And it was for a reason. He said himself. Okay, so no man has ever gone up into heaven, but one. You're supposed to be in bed. Okay, number two, I mean, if you look at every seed bears after its own kind, that throws science right out the window.
Especially ape business.
Well, I shouldn't say science, I should say evolution. It throws evolution out the window. Because supposedly we evolved from apes. That's not logical, because what mammal or creature do you know of that's ever changed its form? They've changed their color, but they've never changed their form. An animal cannot produce a human. It's not possible. Exact same thing, right?
Sorry.
What's a duck? If it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Anyway, you've got to understand that we were reading last week about the Baals of the high places. Okay, the fallen angels, they were called the Baals of the high places. So the rulers, magistrates of this world are those that rule in the high places. We're following. Okay, the principalities, the rulers of darkness, the spiritual wickedness, those are all the Baals of the high places. That's who rules this world. A senator, a governor, a president, a king, an emperor does not make a move unless his gods dictate it.
That's why they go into horoscopes and all that.
That's why they go into all the psychics and the fortune tellers and whatnot, because they want to know. The same thing as Herod did. Herod called for 3 magi, which were magicians, okay, to find out and to relate back to him about the information of Christ. And what did the angel of Hoya tell him to do? Don't even return to give him the answer. I want to show you this because this has to do with next week's message, which we're going to get into. It's actually the week after next. It's called Gideon's Army. We're going to get into what he has actually put in the false prophets' hearts. Okay, now watch. Jude 6. There, brother. And the angels which kept not their first estate. This is who we're fighting against, remember? The principalities, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So they're under ignorance unto the judgment of the great day. Do you know that if you are a follower of them, you are going to remain in ignorance unto the judgment of the great day? Hello? If you follow, and you got to hear me out when I say this, if you follow Baal, lords, God, you literally are going to remain in darkness until the judgment of the great day. Because that is who they are in charge over. The rulers of darkness. Does everybody hear me? I've been asked many times, why don't these people get it? Why can't they understand it? Because they were not given to understand it. They were not created to understand it.
But if they wanted to, they could change, right?
If it was in their heart to do it. Everybody following? What puts it in their heart to do it? I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy. He is the only one that can put it in their heart. Hello? He's the only one. You can't do it. There's nothing you can explain to them. There's nothing you can teach them. There's nothing you can reveal or show to them that will make them see it.
How about prayer by the Muslim?
That's the only way. It's going against them in the spirit realm. For an example, how did we come to knowledge of the truth?
Stop it. Someone prayed.
No. We went through it the hard way. We had to literally go into the wilderness and fight these things face to face.
Yeah.
That's the only way we found it. Okay? We actually sought for him diligently. And how are they going to find it? The exact same way. They're going to have to be going into the wilderness. They're going to have, just like Christ did. Christ did the exact same thing. He went in the wilderness for 40 days, 40 nights. You know what he was doing?
Fighting.
Huh?
Fighting.
Nope, not until after 40 days. Huh?
Singing prayer.
He was looking. He was looking for the Father. That's what he went out there for. He was looking to be intimate with his Father. That's the only way to do it. You've got to cut off the other distractions and get on a one-to-one, face-to-face basis with him. That's the only way. Only way. Alright, watch. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication, going after strange flesh. Now, mind you, he's still talking about the angels that left their first estate. Okay? They went after strange flesh. Spiritual, or I should say the angels, were never created with a man's body. They were never created to inhabit, to be able to actually fornicate with mankind. How did they do it? They literally had to inhabit them to breed.
Yeah, because they don't have a
They have no male or female parts. Hello? So what they did is they actually entered into the women of the sons of Adam and birthed themselves through the offspring. Is everybody following?
like incubators actually.
Not really. They've got no male or female parts, so they can't produce after their own kind. Angels cannot produce after their own kind.
Well, was it just the seed of evilness?
It was the thoughts in their heart that produced. All right, and that's what most people don't even bother to sit down and look at. The word says there's no male or female in the spirit. They do not carry male or female parts. So how would they be able to produce giants from mankind? The only way they could do it is if they inhabited a woman and literally birthed themselves through the canal.
She would have still had to be with a man, right?
No, not if they were their own seed.
But they're not, they're not,
It's a spiritual thing. It's not physical.
well then, what's the difference between what they did and what happened with Mary?
There's a big difference because it was Hoya himself that done it. But you've got to look at why it had to be done through Mary. Huh? Not only that, but because it was to redeem mankind from the sin they had committed in Genesis 6. From the fallen permeating and getting in Adam's bloodline, he had to produce himself through a bloodline, or a seed of his own, through a bloodline to relieve, or I should say deliver, Adam's race. Is everybody following? There was a spiritual level on it long before there was a physical level on it.
What you're saying is that going into the mind, they can't produce another human being.
They did. They literally produced another being through women. They went in and corrupted their seed. And so Hoya had to create something that was in a form like them to deliver man. Is everybody following? Because what's the word say? The Holy Ghost went into her and he was conceived. Okay, but who was conceived? A man. The Spirit inhabited her and out came a man.
I could never explain that to anybody.
It's not given for you to explain. It's in the Spirit. It's a spiritual matter, and it's not something that mankind can comprehend. It's a spiritual level. If you're not spiritual, you never understand it. All right, watch this. They're going after strange flesh are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Likewise also, these filthy dreamers. Does it say filthy? No, it doesn't. It's italics. So it says. Likewise also, these dreamers. They follow the dreams. Is everybody following that? They follow the. Sorry. It doesn't matter the dream. They usually follow their dreams. They're even writing books now to interpret your own dreams.
Who's following their dreams?
The rulers of this world. I'm going to show you this.
They think that they want to do it.
Pretty much, yeah. Who gives you the dreams? The Nephilim.
Not all of them.
Watch. It's depending on what the interpretation is for and who gives you the interpretation of it. Watch. These dreamers defile the flesh, despise dominion. That means literally dominion of the spirit, not dominion of the flesh. That's not talking about, oh, well, we despise Obama, so we must be these filthy dreamers. That's not what that says. The word dominion literally means a spiritual dominion. And speak evil of dignities. Yet Michael the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses, durst not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Hoya rebuked thee. But these speak evil of those things which they know not. Now watch this. It's still talking about the Nephilim. The fallen angels. Okay, watch. They speak evil of those things which they know not. That's written in the book of Enoch. That was their judgment, because they taught man things that they had no full comprehension and understanding of.
Later.
Like the painting of the face and all that. That was stuff that was never supposed to be given to mankind. Because it wasn't a natural thing. It wasn't for them to learn. Okay, now watch. Where am I at? Verse 10. But what they know naturally, in other words, the only thing that these spirits understand is nature. the things of nature. They do not understand on a spiritual level. Is everybody following? They were cast out of heaven, so they are not permitted to speak of the heavenly things. They're not permitted to even have a knowledge of it.
But they're spirits.
It doesn't matter. They were cut off and bound under darkness. Okay? All you give us, all you can take away. He took away their knowledge of it. So they can no longer have a knowledge of the spirit realm. So all they know is things of nature. They don't know anything else.
So they're physical.
Okay? Now watch. What they know naturally as brute beasts, in those things they corrupt themselves. In other words, in nature, because they only know nature, like for example, supposedly us finding a bunch of bones, okay, that we cannot explain, all of a sudden we try to add a bunch of other bones mixed to it to say, oh, well, this existed. Well, that's doing nothing but corrupting yourself because you're believing your own stupid lie. It's already been proven that they've put alligator heads with birds to make it look like a dinosaur. It's been proven. All right, watch this. Woe unto them, for they have gone in the way of Cain, ran greedily after the error of Balaam for reward, and perished in the gainsaying of Korah. What happened to Korah?
The earth opened up.
The earth opened up and swallowed them up. Okay, watch. These are spots in your feasts of charity. Did you see that? Means they inhabit you. Did not Paul say you cannot commune with the cup of Belial and the cup of Christ? You can't commune with light and darkness. So what's he saying? He's saying it's within us. The light and the darkness, the cup of Belial and the cup of Christ is within us. You got to choose one or the other. Which one are you going to serve? Which one are you going to partake of? If you're going to partake of the cup of Christ, then you better be getting rid of Belial, who is the chief demon. Hello? Watch. When they feast with you, feeding themselves without fear, so how do you know if something is of Hoya? No, anything. Whether my feeling, my emotion, my thought.
If it lines up with the word.
Because there's two different ways. You will have feelings, you will have emotions after you've been marriage-most. Depends on whether you're led by them or not. Everybody following? So how do you know? What's it say? Feeding themselves without fear. Let me give you an example. Let's say the thought enters my mind. I'm walking through Walmart and I see ice cream. And I see a little bitty tub of ice cream and I think to myself, well, you know what? That sounds good. I might get me a bottle. Not thinking that there's 15 people at the house that I need to feed. Maybe they would like some of this. What's the right thing to do?
Get a bigger jug
Why?
so you can share it with everyone.
Why?
Selfish. Because that. So
Because that's the fear of Hoya. If I don't do it, I'm going to get judged for it. For being selfish. Okay? Those feeding themselves without fear are the Nephiel.
no conscience.
None. There's no fear. They have no reverence for him. So they don't give a crap if they break the commandments. They don't give a crap if they break the law. It just doesn't matter to them. That's feeding themselves without fear. And I'm not just speaking of the ice cream for feeding. I'm saying anything. It's in anything and everything. Watch. Clouds they are, rapture, without water, No understanding of it. Carried about of winds. Look up the word winds, and it literally means spirits. Carried about of spirits. In other words, wherever the spirit, any spirit would enter into this place, if you're still Nephilim, you'll follow right after it. You know that? Didn't matter what it was. You'll follow right after it. That's them that Paul was, or was it Peter? Saying they're ever learning, never able to come to knowledge of the truth. They'll always learn. They're always looking for new things to learn. But they can never have the truth because they were blocked from it.
Even if you gave it to them, they wouldn't understand.
You've got to understand, Satan's seed searches and desires to get back in that realm. They're looking for light. They've been cut off from it. So anywhere that they can get knowledge, that's where they go. Anywhere that they can get something new that they've never heard before, that's where they go. Is everybody following? They'll never come to knowledge of the truth because it's not given to them. They lost it. Is everybody following? We are the exact same way. If we follow the sons of Satan like we have been carnally, we'll do this exact same thing. We'll never find the truth. We'll just start following every wind of doctrine that comes along. Watch. Carried about the winds, trees whose fruit withereth. In other words, our fruit will continue to die. How would you like it if all your seed, all your offspring died before you did? You got to see their judgment. You got to see their punishment. You were never judged. You were never punished.
Stop, bro.
That'd tear you up, wouldn't it?
Do you want to go back to bed? Then stop it.
That's what it means. Their fruit withereth. Hello? So of course that's gonna enrage you. It's gonna piss you off. Okay? Watch. Trees whose fruit withereth, without fruit. Now why would he say that? Okay, your fruit's withering, but then you don't have any fruit. In other words, your fruit would wither if you had fruit. So the fruits they're producing are not actually fruits. If it's just natural, that's not fruit. Is everybody following? Twice dead. Second death. That's their judgment. To die the second death. Twice dead, plucked up by the roots.
So there was no stuff left, so they could
Nothing. Okay? Raging waves of the sea, foaming at their own shame, wandering stars, to whom is reserved the blackness of ignorance forever. Look up the word forever. It means eternity. That's all they're going to have for eternity. The blackness of darkness. Ignorance. Okay? And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these, saying, Behold, Yahweh cometh with 10,000 of his saints to execute judgment upon all, to convince all their ungodly among them of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. How many is he coming with? I'll show you a little secret to this. I'll do that next week. These are murmurs. You wonder why Holly is so adamant about murmuring and complaining. Why? Because it's not of you. It's not of him. It's of Satan's seed. Hello? If you're murmuring and complaining, it's because you're still part of Satan's seed. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts. In other words, when it doesn't go their way, if it's not how they want it, if it's not how they like it, if it's not what they want to do, if it's not according to their will. You following? They start murmuring and complaining. Their mouth speaketh great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage. In other words, they're looking to satisfy you for what purpose?
They're ignorant.
So they get the advantage. In other words, the only reason why I would, let's say if I was them, the only reason I would do something for Ruth is if I got recognition from her for it. Is everybody following? I would only do for her if I got her to say, what? If I got her to say, what? Thank you.
It would make others want and wonder you.
Is everybody following it? That gives you fame, renown.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Everybody following.
Mhm.
Now watch. But beloved, remember you the words which were spoken before the apostles of our Master Yahshua Christ, how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time. Mockers. What is a mocker? Let me show you. The word mocker literally, the definition of the word mockers means a false teacher. There shall be false teachers in the last time. He couldn't have said it any better, because that's all there are.
Mocking the word.
Do you know how many and few and far between of the true apostles, true Israelites there are today?
7,000.
Out of 3,150,000, there are 7,000. There's 8 million people in the world. Do the math. So how many does he really have?
Very few.
Think about it. Do the math. Literally, do the math. I'm going to show you this first. How that they told you there should be mockers in the last time or last year who should walk after their own what? Okay, so they're only doing things to get fame. They're only doing things to get recognition. Is everybody following? The only reason why they're doing it is so that they get a pat on the back from their congregation. You know what? Screw you all. I don't care about your recognition. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because I was commanded to. And it's pure and simple as that. Alright, watch. These be they who separate themselves. Let me show you this. The word ungodly lust is wicked desires. And the word separate themselves literally means establishing a boundary or party for their own conceits. I'll read it again.
Angel means 3 sets of zeros.
Yeah. Separate themselves means establishing a boundary or party for their own conceits. Establishing a boundary or party for their own conceits. In other words, it would be like me going and setting up a denomination. So we're following that. The only reason why you set up a denomination is to get people to follow your line of thinking. You separate yourself from the herd or from the flock because you want your opinion heard. Rather than saying, wait a minute, let's go back to the Word and find out what the Word says. Because see, there are two different divisions. There are two different separations. What did Christ say I came to do? to divide asunder. I came to set the father and the son apart, the father-in-law and the son-in-law, the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, so on and so forth. That is a righteous division. There is also an unholy and unrighteous division where they separate themselves and make their own sect to follow their own beliefs, to set up their own principles and guidelines to follow, rather than going back to the Word and saying, let's look at what the Word says we're supposed to do. And I don't care who you go to and what church you step into, they'll tell you, oh, well, we're doing it the righteous way. Not when you don't know what the righteous way is. Hello? Watch this. These be they who separate themselves, sensual. In other words, the only thing they know is their five senses. What they see, taste, touch, hear, and smell. That's the only thing they know. Just like there was a message out there, I think it was by Randy, who he had went to this guy's church one time, and the guy literally preached from the pulpit, if it feels good, do it. That's sensual. That's exactly what all the apostles warned against. And that's what they're doing. If it sounds good, listen to it. If it makes sense to you, here's the key. If it makes sense to you, is different than logic. Is everybody following that? Did you hear what I just said? Are you able to comprehend what I just said? If it makes sense to you, just because it makes sense to Ruth does not mean it makes sense to me. Everybody following? If it makes sense to Joe, doesn't mean it makes sense to me. But there is a logical explanation, a logical reasoning behind it. If it is looking at it the logical way, that is the truth. That is the explanation of it. Let me show you. Sorry, hold on. These be they who separate themselves, sensual, having not the Spirit. In other words, they have other spirits, but they have not the Spirit. Is everybody following that? So if you're just following the five senses, what tastes good, looks good, what do I say? Tastes good, looks good, feels good, smells good, sounds good. Thank you. All that is sensual. That means you don't have the Spirit. Because he doesn't follow the senses. He doesn't follow the five senses. Because he is a sixth sense. That's not... And I know everybody says, oh, well, you know, sixth sense is being able to sense spirits in your presence. No, that is not a sixth sense. You know what the sixth sense is? It's righteousness. It's knowing what is right and wrong. That is the sixth sense. And I can show you that. Go to Hebrews 5. Verse 13, for everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness. Let me break it down.
Hebrews what?
Hebrews 5:13. Everyone, follow along, everyone, I want you to highlight that word, everyone. Everyone that is still in the milk. There are no exceptions to that word. You cannot say, okay, well, some of them are on the milk, but some of them might be on meat. No. Everyone that is still in the process of using milk. What is milk? Someone who is still having to be taught what the law is. If you don't know why Haya said, thou shalt love me more than anything, more than above everything else. If you don't know why he said that, then you still need to be taught what the law was for. That means you still need the milk. If you don't know why he said love your neighbor as yourself, then you need the milk. Because that's what the milk is for. All right, watch. Everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the logic of righteousness. Did you hear me? They are unskillful in logic. They have no idea how to even put logic together. Did you know, by the spirit of prophecy, that prophecy is logic? It is foretold by something that it makes the logical picture look complete. Go back and look at all of the prophecies written in the prophets, and you will see that every one of them are logical. Hallyu said, I will produce the Messiah from the tribe of what? Judah. And what did he do? He produced the Messiah from the tribe of Judah. That was logic. Figured it out. Doesn't take rocket science. Doesn't take evolution. He did what he said he was going to do. All right, now watch. He is a Napios. Anyone who does not know how to put something together logically is a Napios. If you cannot see the logic in it, you're an Napios. But strong meat belongeth to them who are of full age, even those who by reason of use have what? Have what? Did you know that you can actually train your exercises? You can actually train your senses. You can literally discipline your senses to know and understand right and wrong. You do it in the flesh. Why couldn't you do it in the spirit? Just like a child who sits down and doesn't want to eat broccoli. You know why that child doesn't want to eat broccoli? It's got nothing to do with it's good for them, or they just don't like the color green, or they just don't like the taste of it. That's got nothing to do with it. You know why? Because naturally a child does not just want to eat. Nothing is satisfying to them. Did you know that? Go back and read it again. It doesn't make sense to them to eat. Looking at it from the physical standpoint, okay? Read verse 13 again. Everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. It doesn't click up here. It doesn't make sense to them up here. Why we eat food? What's the point of it? Yeah, my stomach hurts, but they don't equate the hunger with filling the stomach. So that has to be trained. It has to be taught to them. Is everybody following? You need to teach them to eat broccoli. You need to teach them to eat things that they don't like, because that's what's necessary for their body. Is everybody following? Now watch. Strong meat belongeth to them that are full age, who even those who by reason of use have their senses. Now this is on the spiritual sense. Have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. To discern what? Both. You've got to be able to comprehend what is illogical and what is logical. Rapture is illogical. Baptism of the cloud is logical. Why? Because Moses did not go up into the mount and step into the rapture. He went up and stepped into a cloud. We're following. Moses did not say that Israel was baptized into Moses in the rapture and in the sea. He said he was baptized in the cloud. Is everybody following? Elijah was not taken up in a rapture. He was taken up in a whirlwind, which is called the cloud. Is everybody following? That is the logical reasoning. That is the logical explanation. The same word cloud simply also means a veil. Is it logical that the bride wears the veil when she goes before her husband? Think about it. In the natural aspect, what's being covered? Why? Why is the face being covered? It's symbolic. It first started with Rachel and Isaac, or Rebecca and Isaac. It was Rebecca or Rachel? Rebecca and Isaac. What? That's where it all started.
Get away
What does it
from those
pertain to?
pets.
Why is it necessary?
Brooklyn, I just told you that.
What does it mean?
Move.
It's because that's how the husband sees us before we become intimate with him. Is everybody following? He only sees us through a cloud. That means he doesn't really know us. We turn that around and say, oh, well, we can't see him for the clouds. No, that's vice versa. He doesn't see us because he is covered by a cloud. Did Moses put a veil over his face when he came to talk to people? Why? Because it was too bright for them, they would have died. The same reason why we can't see the Father, because we would die. It's a protection. But at the same time, it's because we really don't know him. He really doesn't know us. So how do we get to know him better? How do we get to know him better? What did he tell Moses? He told Moses, he said, you get up into this mountain, and I will meet you there. What was the key? What was the key? Obedience. That was all it was. Being obedient. As long as he was obedient, Moses or Halia showed himself to him. He even gave him his real name. Something that's been lost since Moses wrote it down. And I don't know why, because it's right there. Does that make sense to you? His name is in broad daylight in plain sight. Nobody can see it. What does that tell you? That means that's how clever Satan is. That's how clever an enemy we're standing against. The fact that he can hide it in plain sight. Ever heard the phrase, can't see the forest for the trees? You're not looking for the forest, you're looking for the tree. If you want to see the forest, just stare at the tree. What are you going to find in the forest?
More trees.
The trees.
So if you see one, you see them all.
That's right. Is everybody following that?
Yeah.
Just like if you want to move to a city, guess what? You've seen them before. They're no different. They're overpopulated. Crime rates more than you'd find out in the country.
More polluted.
More pollution. It's harder to breathe because the freaking dust and crap in the air. Smog from the vehicles. And I'm not saying that to try to persuade you from moving to the city. I'm just saying. If you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah. There's nothing there.
It's like a naked body. If you've seen it, you've got one. You've seen it before. It's nothing new to look at. Unless they got a tattoo or a piercing, in which case it's still nothing new to look at.
Not true.
But anyway, they have their senses exercised to discern, and that word discern means to separate, both good and evil. In other words, they can separate the logical from the illogical. Is there any questions? I don't think I'm done yet, but is there any questions? Revelation 18, last scripture. Better yet, wait a minute. How about we continue this next week? Huh? Because I've got a whole lot more to give.
I never could come up with that answer.
Come on with what?
I'm still working on it. Thank you, Bill. Where's the bell?
Oh, I hung it back up in their door. What are they into now? What? My hand hurts. You know how much I use my hand?
All right, I had a question. It had something to do with being sealed unto the day of salvation.